All right, we are happening. I think so. All right, live on Facebook, trying to make this happen. Hello, welcome. We're back. We're gonna try this again. Except now we're on Facebook. We're gonna try the Facebook thing. Um, Periscope versus Facebook. I don't know. I don't know what to. I don't know what to say. I don't know what to think. So we're gonna try the Facebook thing. Um, Hi guys. Yes, bring in some comments. What's up, everyone? We're on a break right now. That's what's going on. We're having a halftime and making some adjustments, getting ready for the last stretch of the tour that will start Monday in Richmond, and we'll do a lot of the East Coast and finish out in Denver. So we've been having a really good time. If any of you guys have been to the show, thank you, and I hope you've enjoyed it. So what we're gonna do? Oh, I need to also mention that right after that, we're going to Australia, and some exciting news that happened this week. Um, the last Periscope, someone had asked me about 21 Pilots, and I was genuinely digging Blurry Face. I found out about it last year, and instantly became a fan. I was talking about I saw the Bonnaroo performance, and as fate would have it, we met those guys not too long after that Periscope. We did a radio show with them back in December. We met those guys, absolutely incredible. They knew who we were. They had told us stories about coming to our shows back in the day, and anyway, we really hit it off, and we are so stoked to be going out with them on this colossal summer tour. It's absolutely incredible. So honored that they asked us to join them, and should be good. Emotional Roadshow. Yeah. So you guys, I will take a few questions before we get started. What we're going to dive into tonight is the making of the track "Used to." This will be a beast. I'm looking. It makes Joyrides look like child's play. I'm looking at 22 versions of it before we got to the final, and I'm just skimming. I went through some of it, and I'm like, I can't even hear the difference. I don't know what we were trying to do. There might have actually been 50, and I just took the 22 that I could hear the difference in to show you guys tonight. Um, so anyway, we'll get started with that. But let me look at some questions. You guys with Incubus would be a perfect show too. We actually played shows with Incubus. I don't know if you missed that. I'm sorry if you did. We had a great time. That was in 2012. Um, I hope we get to do some features. And Paul, did you start it at a faster tempo than it ended up being? We'll definitely get into that with used to. We messed around with all kinds of tempos. We actually started slower than it ended being. We went way fast, and then we came back somewhere towards the middle. Um, and yes, it was the Honda Civic tour. That's when we toured with Incubus and Linkin Park. Um, and any plans to shoot another live DVD? We had been asked this a bit, and there is plans, and we've not nailed down the location where it's going to be. I think there's a lot of kinks that we're still trying to work out in the show before we feel like it's ready to be properly documented. So we want to get those kinks worked out. And I hope that we find a really special place for wherever this next concert DVD will be. But we definitely have it high on the priority list for this year. So um, we're on it. We're definitely on it. Um, so I see. What was your inspiration for lyrics for Used to? So that's probably a good place to start. Um, it's This song started in a strange place. This is one that actually started in the voice memo section of my phone, and I imported it in here so you can hear it. Um, it was at my former house that was in New Orleans where I was renting. It was being sold from under me to someone else, and we were moving out. Anyway, it was the day of the inspections, and I was just hanging out outside, a little bummed. I really like this place really. Eventually, we recorded Odd Soul and all that, but I just started. I had this idea for this groove. I was just walking around out in the street in front of the house, and I recorded this into the phone. This is a little uncomfortable, to say the least, for me to play, but it's it's an important part of where this song began. So for those of you who have showed up early and on time, you get to hear it. All right. So voice memo. It's an idea for a groove, right? I used to feel like 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 I used to feel. So that's the gist of that. I just got down what I heard as a groove, and then just the basic little vamp, which became the pre-chorus. And I didn't know what the song was about. I just heard, I used to feel alive. I used to feel alive. I used to. I was getting kicked out of my house. I don't know. I might have been tormented about what I was being forced into. Um, so that's where it started. And I don't know. We hadn't really had a song that had that kind of just really slow burn. So I was drawn to try to see if there was something there. So once the inspectors left the house, I went back inside and sat down and made this demo. I turned that voice memo into this. So this was the first demo of Used To. It felt like yesterday we were meant to stay, living like nothing wrong could happen. I still recall the time you were on my mind, monopolizing 24/7. 24/7. Figured I should know how it's gotta go, 'cause nothing is made to last forever. Hardly moving on, the proof is in the song, remembering how not really doing much. I used to feel alive. I used to want to. I used to be alright. I used to love you. I used to. I used to. I used to. I used to. But I can't ignore the head. Then it goes into verse 2. That was it. That was really super stripped back. And that was it. I was just doing a synth bass and then some drum programming. Couldn't even get a chord change going. I just had the one note. And I think it was just a vibe. I was just following a vibe and just this lyric of reminiscing and possibly dealing with some regrets and what to do with those. Finding ways to move forward. And so I think that whole sentiment was just rolling around in this. And I played this demo for the guys, and everyone was super drawn to it because it was so stripped back, and it was very vocal centric, and it was centered on what was being said. And we're wondering if we could do a song like that. How could we develop it and still retain that very minimalistic approach? So there were two causes at play right off the beginning, and we're we're trying to chase this inspiration. So I think the first critique was, it's not going anywhere, right? So where do we take it? So then we made another demo, or I started messing with it more. Like, it wasn't even ready for collaboration yet. It was like, well, let's see if, what else you got? Where else can you push it? I used to want to. Trying some chord changes. Remembering how I used to feel alive. I used to want to. I used to be trying. Alright. I pretend it isn't worth knowing that you're better off without me. Trying some counterpoints. Trying to get some counter lines going. I put in a bridge. That's what happened on this version. I'd rather not remember anymore. I used to. A little sense line. I used to feel alive. I used to want to. I used to be. All right, so we're getting closer now. Something's starting to happen. Okay, so that's when this happened. Okay. So I remember our A&R guy, Jamie Neely, wonderful, wonderful person. We were writing this song back when we were on Warner Brothers. This idea first happened at the end of 2013. And the worst thing an A&R guy can tell his artists, any future A&R people there or current A&R people, you should know this. The worst thing an A&R guy can tell the artist or songwriter is you don't have a. I love it, but there is no chorus. You need a chorus. And it is, as a songwriter, that is the most daunting news to hear, that they love what you've done, but you have no chorus. Basically, there's no foundation. And he didn't say that. This is all he said. He was thinking, you have no chorus. But he said, man, it just needs to go somewhere, like open up. Just where, after that chorus, what I was considering the chorus, after that chorus, where can it go to just kind of have a release? It was using every other word aside from, now go write your chorus. And I'm like, oh, yeah, let's try that. And so this was the release that we came up with here. I used to love you. I used to feel like not to know. I used to feel like not to know. All right, well, that's nice. Some chords. Start singing at the top of my range. Things are happening. It's getting bigger. So we realized in this moment, once we heard this demo, is that, oh, okay, maybe that's the chorus. But everyone still wasn't sold that that was the chorus. We know it needs a chorus now. But what else you got? What else you got? So then I think these demos was just sort of a wild goose chase for what could be the chorus, you know? So it was this. And at this point, I started getting some programming from Darren. Darren started throwing some stuff at it, which is nice. You hear the DK. My heart be moving. So all I was doing was repeating that line. There was no walk on air part yet, but the feeling was starting to emerge. And I think, by the way, this feels slow, and this is slower than what it became. I think we're at 120 at this point. So the chorus felt incomplete. The ultimate fix was we just needed more lines. We had the right melody, the right idea going, but at this point we didn't realize that. We're like, well, something's still not right. So I tried some other ideas. Used to be I used to love you. I used to and that wasn't working. And that didn't feel right either. Although nice try, and I can tell you there's nothing more daunting to me as a songwriter than to go chorus fishing. Like that is just like that's drudgery. I don't know, but we knew we liked the song, and I knew I was feeding off the energy of everyone was still excited about the essence of what was going on here. But I kept striking out. Something felt like I kept missing, so it was getting frustrating. How I used to feel about you. I used to feel like I used to So then I began to uncover what it would become. At first I was thinking that was just going to be some counter background vocal line to just give that other line a break. Like it just needed a break because it was getting repetitive. And I realized, well, the melody is nice. What if we try to just make that the lead guy instead of trading off to a background vocal? And I think that's when it started to happen. I used to So I did a cop-out melody there because I felt it was impossible to sing, and at the time I couldn't sing it. Like it wasn't enough breath to like make that all work. So I felt like I had to do a different melody. And then this is when usually your band members just have to give you a little encouragement, which they do, and say, "You can do it, man. You can sing it. Just go for it, man. Don't worry about how you'll sing it live. Just lay it all out there so we can hear it." I used to want to. I used to be. Did I do it? I used to. All right, so used to number 14, version 14, we finally got the chorus. So that was nice. Everyone was feeling good about that. And then we would go into a series of second guessing ourselves for another 6 months. But I think it was because we were still shaping up the other songs and trying to figure out if we were doing the production approach right, what could still be better. We weren't sure. Why is this popping? Let me see. So at this point, we have the nucleus of the song uncovered, and now we're going to dive into trying to figure out what is the production approach. Do we have the right tempo, in the right key? Are we using the right instruments? And before I get into that, I'll take a few more questions. So, someone says, I gotta go. Somebody post this on YouTube. I'm sure it'll be somewhere for people to review. The thing is, I think these videos on Facebook get to live immediately on Facebook. So, perhaps we'll find a way to get on YouTube. How do I meet other musicians around me? Should I move somewhere else? Ooh, that's tough. Man, only if you feel you have to. You know, I feel pretty fortunate that I was able to run into Roy here in New Orleans, but I didn't meet Darren in New Orleans. It was from traveling that I met Darren. I met him in Springfield. Sometimes you just have to travel. I would, if you're questioning that at all as a factor, I would just do it. I don't know what we're going to do with all these demos for used to. Someone's asking. They can have some demos. Maybe. I'm not really sure. Maybe we'll make a pool that you can just kind of scan which one you would want. Hate to just unload 20 demos of the song. It gets a little, I don't know, pathetic, I think. I feel like as I'm going through this, I'm wanting to tell these guys in here, just finish the song already. Come on, man, you got it. Now we're going to go on rabbit trails that, they were probably necessary. No, I shouldn't say that. Every rabbit trail we took, I felt like yielded something to the end result. If nothing else, just to know what not to do, which a lot of times you've got to figure out what not to do. Man, I just saw this great documentary on Daft Punk. I don't know if you guys have seen this. Exceptional story, right? But one thing they were talking about is them as producers, and of course their process of making records. It's all about engaging in the process of elimination. And that's what you're doing. You got to allow yourself time to weed through all the ideas and figure out what's the good one. And that's what production is. It's knowing how to make decisions on the good ideas and put those together. And there's a little more input when you have 4 guys as opposed to 2. But I feel like all the guys in the band usually have great ideas that we all kind of need to chase, and if we give time to them, the ultimate version of what we want to call Mutemath is waiting. It's waiting for us. We just have to be patient sometimes, be willing to go on the rabbit trails, and be willing to break the news to the other band member that I think this could be better. I know you worked so hard on that, and usually they're telling me that, especially if I've been slaving over a vocal or trying to get the lyric just right, and they got to tell me, I don't think that's good. I think it could be better, or you should try something else. You learn how to navigate through all that. And we're about we're about halfway there on what it would take to finish Used To. So at this point, uh, this is where Darren needed to step in, and I felt like the track just kind of needed to be explored and turned inside out, and Darren just needed to freak things out. And he's a great, mercurious spirit, and I think extremely essential to the production of our band. And just got to give him time to explore things and push sounds, and this is what he did. So he took the tracks from the demo and created this.
Like nothing wrong could happen. I still recall a time you were on my mind, monopolizing each and every second. Thinking I should know how it's gotta go, cause nothing is made to last forever. Hardly moving on, the proof is in the song. Remember how I used to feel alive. I used to want, I used to be alright. I used to love you. I used to feel like up to now. I used to feel like up to now. I used to walk on air. I used to care. Had no fear for that. I used to.
So he brought a dose of dirt to it, which it needed. Start putting in the 808s, the nastiness. He put in some live drums, layered in with the programming. We had a different kind of bridge though. We're circling. I think one thing we got hung up on too is what to do about the bass. We weren't sure if the synth bass approach felt fresh enough, or if it needed like a conventional bass guitar. And I remember Roy took a shot at upright. Nice. I think it starts to feel like a remix. And so many of these versions, we start realizing that it sounds more like a remix of the song than the actual song. And we're trying to find our way to figure out what's the actual song. Then we did some distorted, gnarly bass. Like nothing wrong could happen. I still recall the time you were on my mind.
mind, monopolizing each and every second. Figured I should know how it's gotta go.
Starts feeling a little bluesier, and this started reminding us a bit of Odd Soul. Started feeling a little more like Odd Soul, the song, and even the vibe of that whole record. I think we liked it, but we felt like that wasn't the end. And that bass actually became a part of the final record. We wound up doing was marrying a synth bass with that bass, that distorted and created a combination. But we kind of lost the sort of the little blues riffs in between. And yeah, for some reason that just didn't feel right yet, but it felt like we were getting there. And Darren put in he did a drum take on that particular version too. So we put a little more live bandiness to it, which those drums wound up sticking around. Still trying to figure out the bridge.
I wish I could somehow just not remember. I wish I could somehow just not remember.
The bridge is getting closer though, as you can tell. Weren't there yet. But I think that's what we're doing. Every version we were trying to figure out the production route. We were multitasking the bridge as well, trying to see if we could get that to improve. And then I went to a festival, Future Fest. It was in Australia. It's why we were in Australia in 2014. And Future Fest is the EDM fest. And I'm a huge Deadmau5 fan. He was headlining that night. Saw Deadmau5, saw Porter Robinson, we saw Knife Party. And my takeaway from that, I remember whenever they would drop a 4 on the floor shuffle beat, the place would just erupt. There was just something about when that 4 on the floor came in and they were using whatever sound of their choice to kind of create that. It was hype. And I found myself singing like the used to chorus too. I'm like, oh man, why aren't we doing something like that? It's like maybe we're missing an opportunity. You know, is the track just too sleepy? It's too halftime. It's so slow. I don't know if we can like try to interject some life into it somehow. Which in hindsight was a noble idea. But it wound up derailing us for a bit. Because I came back and wound up programming something to try to do the song to, which I'm not sure helped. It was just another remix. I'm trying to find, was there a compromise that would help?
It felt like yesterday we were meant to stay, living like nothing wrong could happen. I still recall the time you were on my mind when I belong.
So we were hitting a wall at this point. We were trying to figure out how to program it, and so we decided, obviously, this was the time we got to try to play this in front of people and see how it works out. So we set up in the rehearsal studio, try to figure out how do we want to play this song and who's on what instrument, who's doing what. And once we kind of realized that Roy was most comfortable on guitar for this track and Todd was really digging into the synth bass, we went that route and we sped it up. That's the first thing we wanted to do as we started trying to play this live. It was like, oh, we got to speed this up. And this became a demo of a version that we started playing live. If you were at any of the shows in 2014, maybe 2015, we were playing it too. This is probably a little closer to what you heard.
and some remember how I used to feel like I used to want to. I used to be alright. I used to love you. I used to never feel like until now. I used to never feel like until now. I used to go and I used to care and love people that I used to never feel like until now. Well, I can't ignore her telling me.
Well, playing it this way was certainly more exciting, we realized, but we were learning a lot of what we did not want to do by doing this version. The one thing that came from this version that we wound up keeping and we uncovered was how to do the bridge. I'm pretty sure that's what happened when we started playing it live. Nah, we cut the bridge. That was another mistake we made. We said, no bridge. We just started jamming, which we needed to do at the time. We needed to open up the song to see where we could go. So that's fun. Did we get some? This is another live demo we did. So this is when we got the bridge back. So that wound up being the chords and melody that finally surfaced for the bridge in that live demo. So we did two live demos. One with the bridge, one without the bridge. One that just kind of jammed more at the end. And there were two bad things that happened in this particular version that we felt. The chorus did not feel as engaging anymore. The chorus felt a little too happy, and the chorus lyrics, the vocal was rolling by really fast, and it was really hard to sing live. Like at that BPM, I was gasping. I couldn't even keep up with it. And trying to do all the runs, at that BPM was just too fast for it to feel natural. So I remember we started talking to producers. This is around the time we were trying to figure out if we were going to still produce this out ourselves, if we were going to work with anyone. And every producer, when they heard that, they were like, yeah, the chorus is the problem. One producer suggested we needed a whole new chorus that was not the right chorus, and which really bummed me out at this point in the game. But trying to be a good sport and trying to just, in the spirit of, we got to try everything to know, process of elimination, right? We tried another chorus approach. I'll play it for you. So now we're at 130 BPM, trying to figure out what's the perfect chorus in this version.
I used to be alright. I used to love you. I used to
Okay, that feels all kind of wrong to me. Maybe some of you like that. I feel like seen that movie, The Breakup. It's a great part where Vince Vaughn is playing video games with Jennifer Aniston's new boyfriend, and he stops and goes, "Why don't you tell me how you feel about what just happened?" Tell me your feelings. And the way I feel is that I felt like this was turning into a Shania Twain song. This did not seem like we were going in the right direction. And much love for Shania Twain. But that's not the avenue we were pursuing. And certainly not what I was hearing in my head when I was singing along to Porter Robinson and Dead Mouse. And I think we started realizing that this four on the floor shuffle works way better for some reason when it's produced electronically. As soon as we started banding it up, it just got in this weird gray area place that we weren't feeling as much. And yeah, it was fun to play, not fun to sing, and it wasn't as fun to listen to. And we talked about trying to make the record version of Used To, what's the way that it's supposed to, be birthed for people to hear for the first time and for us to work off of. It wasn't that. So we rabbit trailed on that whole full-time thing for, many months. And I think we realized that, okay, we're not working with an outside producer on this one. We know what we want this song to feel like. We just have to give ourselves a little time, separate. We worked on other songs for a while, and then we came back, and I remember just kind of crash listening all the demos and just trying to make mental notes on what just hit me right. And then once we kind of had a little palate cleanser, we started from scratch, which was really difficult to do, but we found a whole new tempo. And here's Roy's, here's one of Roy's great talents that I can't wrap my head around, is you can just do this, and he knows the BPM, I don't know what the term is for that. I know, like, when you can hear pitch, what is it, perfect pitch? He's got the perfect pitch version of BPMs, whatever that is. I mean, even if you speed it up a little bit, he's like, that's 123. Oh, yeah. No, that's like 121. Whatever. And so I just remember going to Roy, I was like, what if we do, how's this feel? What's this? That's probably like 122. And, you can actually pull it up on a machine and you can tap it in like what you're doing. You don't need, but it's really fun to have Roy do that. And he's 90% of the time dead on. And he got it. He was like, yes, 122. And he was right. It was 122. And 122 felt right. Just a little faster than where we started, but not drastic. And we worked on creating a new template for the song. God bless Melodyne once again, that for all the work that we did at 120 and even 130, we're able to tempo stretch or squash it. And I know there's other programs that do it. I've just found Melodyne to where the quality suffers the least. And we got everything at 122, got as many good parts of the demos at 122, and we just started making choices. And I remember Roy took it upon himself to do a remix to try to help push us along. I think me and Darren were both getting we were scratching our head and not really sure where to take it. Then Roy did this. starts feeling like there's a chord progression, which we were drawn to, which is nice. And it was feeling alive. He was still at 4 on the floor, though, at 122. And I think we realized we had the right tempo. And I think that synth bass is what we wound up using. We just went back to halftime. And I think it was in that move that we finally wound up where it was, where it exists. So that, the one thing that happened right there that really felt right was it retained the minimalism of why we were drawn to the song in the first place. It let space happen. And we only used going to the 4 on the floor as just a lift in the second verse, a part of the bridge, but the nucleus of the song just stayed in that halftime pulse. And for a while we were a little worried about, well, this isn't the most exciting way to play it live. What do we do live? And I think we just realized that just stay with this template and just, as if you've seen us play it live, Darren just kind of goes. And I think that really pushes the song along. Because when we started playing this and Darren just was playing like the record, it just felt kind of boring. The feel was right, everything else was right, but it was like Darren was still not in live mode yet. So as soon as we just kind of unchained what we had to do live from the record and just let the version to listen to in record form, in presenting the song, exists like this, and then the way we present the song in front of an audience when we're playing it can be different. And I feel like we finally cracked the code on it. So that's used to. Before we go, and thank you, this has been a long one, I know. 50 minutes, we usually average around 40. All right, so I'll do a few more questions before we go. Thank you guys for hanging out. Bass drops. Yes, bass drops are important. Well, thank you guys. I'm not really sure if this Facebook thing wound up being more comfortable or not than Periscope. Please let us know if the Periscope avenue is better, or did you enjoy the Facebook thing. But either way, thank you guys for hanging out tonight. Hope you enjoyed, and hopefully we'll see you out on the road really soon. All right, take care.